Hi, this is Blake.
Hi, this is Cameron. We welcome you to yet another episode of Trust Talks. Ever scrolled through your phone and just like, whoa, there's so much personal information on here, you know? Now imagine that, but with your medical records, all that sensitive stuff, that's where this whole PHI thing comes in, protected health information. It's basically the guardian of your most private data, especially now that everything's digital.
And it's not just like your doctor's notes from your last appointment.
Yeah.
We're talking way more than that. PHI covers a surprisingly wide range of stuff.
Okay, so give me the rundown. What kind of information are we actually talking about here?
Think of it this way. If it's about your health and, has your name on it, it's probably PHI. We're talking medical records for sure, but also like insurance claims, billing info, even those x-rays from that tumble you took skiing last winter.
Wow. Yeah, okay, that's way more than I would thought of. It makes you realize how much of that stuff is floating around out there. But why should I actually care about PHI? I get that it's my info, but is it really a big deal?
Okay, well, imagine this. Some random person, someone you don't even know, is looking at your medical records without you knowing. That total lack of privacy, someone just violating your trust, that's what PHI is trying to stop. It's all about making sure you have control over this really personal information.
Okay, no, yeah, that definitely got my attention. So all this sensitive stuff is out there, but what's actually protecting it? Didn't the article mention IPI?
Exactly. IPI, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, it's like the security guard for all that info.
Yeah.
And it's not just standing around. It's got some serious power to back it up.
IPA with muscles. Okay, that's an image, but I like it. Tell me more.
So IPA has these things called the privacy rule and the security rule. These aren't just suggestions, they're the law. They get super specific about how PHI needs to be handled. And if someone breaks those rules, let's just say there are some pretty hefty consequences.
Okay, so not messing around then. Real repercussions.
Yeah.
But what do those rules actually mean?
Well, take the privacy rule, for instance. It basically dictates when and how your health information can be used or shared. It all comes down to you, the patient, being in control of who gets to see this sensitive stuff.
So my doctor can't just be casually chatting about my medical history over coffee, right?
Exactly. That kind of casual conversation could actually get them into some serious trouble. And then you've got the security rule. This one's all about the tech side of things. Think of it like the digital lock on your file.
A digital lock. Okay. So is that access control, right?
Yeah.
Only certain people, like my doctor or nurse, can actually see my records.
Exactly. And it's not just who has access, it's about protecting the information itself. That's where you get into cybersecurity, encryption, all those measures that are supposed to, keep your data safe from hackers and data breaches.
This is what I find so interesting about this whole topic. We're talking about this really personal information, but it also exists in this digital world that sometimes feels so open,
Absolutely. And that's where the article's focus on PHI in the digital age is so spot on. Those old paper files, talk about outdated. Now it's all electronic health records. Convenient, sure. But are there new risks that come with that convenience? Totally.
So it's like a trade-off. We get the convenience of digital records, but we've also got this whole other set of challenges to deal with when it comes to keeping that information actually safe. So tell me about those challenges. What are we up against here?
I mean, think about it. Back in the day, making sure medical records were safe was all about literally locking up the filing cabinets at the end of the day. Now it's a whole other world. We're talking about data in the cloud, these super sophisticated hackers, even stuff like telehealth appointments. There are security risks with that too.
Yeah, it does seem like a constant race to stay ahead, keep that information safe. So, speaking of keeping things safe, what about the healthcare providers themselves? How are they making sure my info is actually protected?
The article gets into some details, but it really comes down to this. Strong cybersecurity, tight access controls, and then encryption on top of that. Those are the big three.
Okay, I like the big three of PHI protection. So, what do those actually look like in practice?
Okay, so picture this. You go to the doctor, right? They pull up your electronic health records. Now, with strong access controls, the system knows exactly who looked at those records and when, and even what they did with the information. So it's like a digital paper trail for all your health data.
Oh, okay. So it's all about accountability. No more just peeking at files and no one knowing, right?
Exactly. And then that encryption thing we were talking about, that's like sending your health information in a lockbox that only your doctor has the key to open. It scrambles everything, makes it totally unreadable to anyone who shouldn't be looking at it.
Whoa, okay. That's actually really cool. Like something out of a spy movie, but for, medical records. But even with all that tech stuff, what about us, the humans? we forget passwords, click on those phishing links sometimes. What's stopping that from happening with PHI?
You're totally right. Tech can only do so much, right?
Hmm.
Human error is a real thing. That's why it's so important that everyone working with this stuff is getting trained. And I mean constantly. Doctors, nurses, the people in the office, everyone needs to remember how important this is and know all the latest ways to keep things secure.
Right, right. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure or something like that. But let's be real, sometimes those things do happen. What about breaches? What if PHI does end up in the wrong hands? That's the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night.
It's scary, no doubt. And it's not just like a theoretical thing either. We've seen some huge data breaches, and those really show you how vulnerable this information can be.
Exactly. It's not just an idea. It really happens. So, okay, let's say it does. What happens? Someone gets this information, then what? What's the worst that can happen?
It can be bad. We're talking identity theft, medical fraud. Someone could use your information to, like, get prescriptions or even try to get medical procedures all under your name.
Okay, yeah, that's terrifying. Identity theft is one thing, but messing with my healthcare, no thank you.
It shows you why this is so serious.
Yeah.
It's not just data points. It's about real people and their lives.
100%. So knowing all of this, what should I, as a patient, actually expect from my doctor, from the whole healthcare system? What shouldn't I compromise on?
You have every right to expect them to be taking this seriously. Don't be afraid to ask them about it, like, what are they doing to keep your data safe? Strong passwords, encryption, do they actually train their staff regularly? Those are all totally fair questions.
Right. Be informed, be empowered. I like that. And that actually makes me think, the article we're talking about is very U.S. focused, HAPay and all that, but this is a digital world, right? What about other countries? Is this a global thing? Yeah, it's easy to get stuck in that U.S. mindset, especially with all this talk about HAPay. So it is a global thing then?
Oh, for sure. Like we were saying before, it's a digital world and health information is valuable everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And the specific rules might be a bit different, but most countries, they get it. They know they have to protect people's privacy, so they have their own versions of these data protection laws.
So it's not just a hypotea thing. What about those other regulations? Any examples come to mind?
Totally.
Yeah.
Like the European Union, they have this thing called the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. And let me tell you, that's some serious stuff, some of the strictest data privacy rules out there. And that includes like all that health information. They don't mess around when it comes to data protection.
Good to know other countries are on top of it too, even if it looks a bit different. But it still sounds like a lot for these healthcare providers to handle, all these rules and regulations. Is there anyone like helping them out with this stuff?
That's where companies like TrustCloud are stepping in. They're doing some really cool stuff with data security, especially in healthcare. Like one of their big things is making sure organizations are actually following all those HIPAA rules. They help them dot all their I's and cross their T's, you know.
Okay, so they're like the hypo whisperers.
Yeah.
Guiding everyone through the maze. That's super helpful, but it still sounds kind of, well, boring, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just about checking boxes, or is there more to it?
I get what you're saying. It's not just about checking boxes, though. Not for them. What I think is really interesting about TrustCloud is that they're going beyond the minimum, beyond just, okay, we have to do this because of the rules. It's more like they actually want to build trust, make this whole thing more transparent. They're trying to shift the whole mindset from we have to we want to, because it's the right thing for our patients.
I love that. It's not about avoiding fines. It's about actually caring about people's privacy. Feels like a much better approach, way more likely to last.
100%. And that's a perfect way to wrap up what we talked about today, I think. This whole protecting your health information thing, it's a two-way street. Healthcare providers, they've got to step up, have strong security, and be open about what they're doing. But we have a part to play, too, as patients.
So it's not just about showing up and getting care. It's about being involved, protecting our own information, too. So what can we actually do? What are some things people listening can do to be more proactive, especially now, with everything digital?
Honestly, don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to your doctor. Ask them about their data security, what they're doing to keep your info safe, how they deal with breaches if they happen. And remember, you have rights. You have the right to see your own health information and what's happening with it. Be informed, know what's going on, and don't be afraid to speak up for yourself.
It's about taking control, not just handing over our information and hoping for the best. I love that message. Well, this has been amazing, really diving deep into PHI today, figuring out all the ins and outs of protecting health information now that everything's digital. We talked about the laws, the tech, and even how important it is for people to be aware of what's going on.
It's always changing, this whole digital world. But even just knowing the basics and asking questions, that makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. So to everyone listening, remember, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.